Okay, so today is August 11th, and it is the 19th anniversary of us finding this property. Yeah, so I thought I would tell you a little bit about the process of finding the Abbey property. So I don't know how far back to go, but anyway, I was in Seattle for about 10 years at DFF as the resident teacher. And then the wish really became quite strong to start a monastery. And I met one Theravada monk who was coming back to the West, and we decided to work together to do this. And then we met some people from a Chinese temple outside of St. Louis. And so we decided to move there and then have a monastery with all three traditions together. So that lasted about a year. It just didn't work out. It was quite, yeah. I mean, people just had their own habits and their own ways of practicing and so on. So it didn't work out. So I was at Geshe Zopa's place for the summer course, and then decided, okay, I have to leave there and leave Missouri. And anyway, I'm not a Midwest girl. I was born in the Midwest, but I'm a West Coast girl. Okay, anyway, so an email came from some people in Boise and said, would you like to come here and, be the resident teacher? And since I was going to leave Missouri and I had no place to live, I said, well, I don't know much about Idaho except they have potatoes. But my friend, encouraged me. I was staying at another nun's house, and she said, it's beautiful out there, go. Anyway, I didn't have any place to live, so, okay. So I went to Boise, and the group there was quite enthusiastic, and with the leader of the group, he and I went all over central and southern Idaho looking for places. And we made offers on two places. Yeah, one was quite a beautiful piece of property in the mountains, and another one was also in the mountains, but in the desert part of the mountains. Okay, the first place had a house on it, but it would need quite a bit of rearranging to actually make it into a monastery. And the second place was beautiful and wide open with no buildings on it. And if we had bought that, we would have needed to produce a whole plan of the development of the Abbey and all the buildings we wanted in order to get a building permit, which was required before you bought the property. Anyway, we made offerings on both of those pieces of property, and they weren't accepted. So I thank the Dharma protectors for that. Okay? Even though we thought both of them were just wonderful. Okay, so thinking about what to do, then our friend Susan, and then this other lady named Barbara, who were living in Cataldo, just across the border. And they said, well, we'll look around here. And they sent the name of, Susan had a realtor, so she sent the name. And I looked, and it was a realtor for Idaho, but they had one property in Washington on the website. And the property's picture, it was from when you stand in the garden and you face the backside of Ananda Hall with all those windows and then all the garden and greenery and forest behind you. And I love places with windows with lots of natural light. and forest. And I said, wow, that's gorgeous. And then I looked at the price tag and I also said, wow, that part is not gorgeous. But again, I was with friends. They said, just go look. You'll get to see the environment and what's around in that area. Susan had already found one place, I think near St. Mary's. It was a building, but the central beam kind of went like that. So we didn't look at that one. Okay. So my friend Jampa Shaneman picked me up at the airport in Spokane, and we had made arrangements with the realtor to come up here to look at the property. And so we get here and we look at the house, and it's nice. I mean, the curtains were a bit dreadful. But it was nice, and just all that was here was the Ananda Hall, and what is now the meditation hall, a smaller version that was just a garage, which was right across from Ananda Hall. Yeah, back then it wasn't here; it was over down there. The barn, and then the little log cabin where they stored tools and things. So that was all that was here. So we looked around, and it was really nice, and like especially walking up to the upper meadow, so beautiful, and thinking, wow, this place could really work, but oh my goodness, with the price, I mean, they were asking $500,000, and no way. So it was an older couple, yeah, Vicky and Harold. Okay, that's how Haroldina got her name, the truck. It was from Harold. Okay, so the realtor had told us, because they had a realtor here too, that only the realtors talk to each other. We are not to talk to the owners of the house. Okay, so we saw the house and we were getting ready to leave, and Jampa and I said, let's just go to the top of the meadow and look at the property again. So we had seen everything. Our realtor wanted to get back. She trusted we would go and then leave. So we went up, we looked, and then we thought, let's go look at the barn again and see if we could make the barn into a meditation hall. Okay, so we walk down to the barn, go inside, and who's standing there but Harold? Okay, so we start chatting with Harold, and we say we really like it, and Jampa doesn't know that you're not supposed to talk to the owner, and you're not supposed to tell them how much money you have or anything like that. And Harold doesn't know that the owners aren't supposed to talk to the prospective buyers and tell them things. So Jampa says, "Oh, but we can make a down payment, but the price is too high for us, and we can't get a loan because we're a new organization, and banks do not want to make loans to religious groups, because if they don't want to have to foreclose on a religious group if they can't pay up." So he says that to Harold. So I'm going, oh God, don't you know you're not supposed to say that? Of course, I had just learned that a few hours before. And then Harold says, well, we'll carry the paper, we'll carry the loan. Okay, that changes everything. Well, we'll go and we'll think about it. Yeah, so we go back to Susan's house. And I had asked Susan to gather together the P&Z codes, the planning and zoning codes, for all the counties in northern Idaho, because we would be looking at different places here. So she had a whole binder full of P&Z codes. So I look at the tab that says Pend Oreille County. I open it up, and it's blank. You know, of all the ones right now, we need to see the P&Z code, because if they had a code like that other place in Washington, where we would have to give them a whole layout of future developed for the next 5 centuries, it was out of the question. I said, Susan, oh, it's really too bad you weren't able to get a P&Z code for Pandaray County. She said, they don't have one. What? Yeah, they don't have a P&Z code. It means you can build anything you want, anywhere. Oh, well, that really changes things. Yeah. So, thought about it some more and didn't think too long, because we knew other people were looking at the property. But came up, you were in the car that time when we came up, to make an offer, to Harold and Vicky. And so we made the offer, and then we sat on what is now, what used to be the landing and what is today becoming the non-landing, that is getting pushed down the hill. And we sat there amongst all the knapweed, because that whole place had knapweed, and just, thought about, well, the pros and the cons. And then we left, and then I had to go to North Carolina, to lead a retreat. And I'm in the middle of leading this retreat. Of course, I'm always in the middle of leading a retreat when there's some legal stuff or important stuff that comes up. So, and they said, well, that the owner accepted. We had offered, less than what he was asking. And they said, well, they accepted. And what do you say? And I said, let's go for it. Yeah, if they're going to carry the mortgage, then, let's do it. So that's how we got the property here. Yeah. And when we first moved in, which was October 17th, the escrow closed on September 30th. And then we moved in, a little bit more than 2 weeks later. And at that time, when I moved in, some people came from Seattle. I think you were there, and Venerable Jigme, yeah, and a couple of other friends. And so they were here, and we decided to, just settle in the weekend. But we woke up the next morning, and the first thing we did is, without any discussion, we all headed for the curtains and took down these curtains. Yeah. And the downstairs of Ananda was open, the room that is now Venerable Lamsal and Venerable Silcham's office, that room was fixed up a little bit, but the rest of it wasn't, and it wasn't even divided into rooms, and it was just the concrete floor. And so we had some work parties at the beginning, and part of it was to, construct walls and put on the floor and so on and so forth. And that's how it started. We do have a video of that weekend, October 17, 18, when we moved in and when we went around the forest. Yeah, that showed what the forest looked like and what the buildings looked like at that time too. So that's how it began. And we had to pay mortgage payments every month. And I remember sitting on the sofa in the living room, what used to be the living room, and saying, how are we going to pay this mortgage? Yeah, because there's me and 2 cats, Manjushri and Achala, living here. Okay, Manj and Ach, how are we going to pay the mortgage? There was the beginning of a fossa, Friends of Sravasti Abbey. And so I wonder, how are we going to do it? So I just took refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha, and I said, if this place is going to be a benefit, to people, and if people want this, then, then hopefully the money will come and they'll support it, because it's being built for them. It's not being built for me and two cats. If it's me, we don't need all this property in a big building. And the money came quite miraculously. I mean, I just was totally astounded. And we even managed to pay the mortgage off early. I'm quite frugal, and so every penny got saved, and it got used to pay off that mortgage. Yeah, so here we are today, 19 years later, building a Buddha hall. After having built, the first thing we did was change the garage into a meditation hall. Then we built the writing studio. Then Gotami. Yeah, right after Gotami was Shanti Cabin. Then we built Chenresi Hall. Yeah, and then we started all the work to build Buddha Hall, which took longer than we expected. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Then after Gotami, then there was Prajna. After Chenresi, then it was Prajna Cabin. And then plans for Buddha Hall. And then Venerable Sangha Kajo came and said that she wanted to construct Metta Cabin. So we took away the shed for the tools. It was a beautiful log cabin shed. And we started the plans, and now we're on our way to adding more buildings. And the community's grown. We have 4 cats now. Yeah, and a few more people. Yeah. Okay, so that's the story.